idea how anyone screams because, like, my mind is like...
Rare Pokemon. Do they even exist anymore? What makes a Pokemon rare? Low encounter rates? Only one being available in a playthrough? Cold, hard cash? A Pokemon being rare doesn't really mean anything anymore. You can have the rarest, most sought-after shiny, and you'll still load into a Wi-Fi battle against someone with that same Pokemon, but it's got freepokemon.com as its nickname or something. Pokemon inflation, that's where we're at right now. Don't Google that. But are there still some Pokemon that can still be considered rare at this point? Well, first, what are the types of Pokemon that have historically been considered rare? Now, I'm not going to talk about Pokemon cards. Those bad boys are an entirely different beast. Charizards are a dime a dozen in the games, but you get a certain holographic Charizard card and all of a sudden, you're having dinner with Jeff Bezos. Cards don't count. This is not a safe space for Pokemon cards.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
Now, the first type of Pokemon that would immediately come to your mind as being rare are obviously shiny Pokemon. Shiny Pokemon are just regular Pokemon with palette swaps. That's it. They just look different. Most of the time. But how do you get a shiny? Well, there are several ways. The most common way is via breeding. Leave a couple compatible Pokemon at a daycare for a while and bing bang boom, you've got yourself an egg. Don't think too hard about it. The second method is soft resetting. This is usually done for a legendary or other static encounter that isn't shiny locked. Save in front of it, talk to it, see that it looks normal. Reset. Repeat this until you accidentally reset on a shiny and think about that fumble for the rest of your life. Eventually, you'll get one if you're patient enough. The third method is via just a random encounter. Now, some encounters are better than others. Like fishing in the same spot over and over again has a much higher likelihood of yielding a shiny than just running around the grass, because you can also increase your shiny odds in various ways, the most famous being the Masuda method for breeding. If you breed two Pokemon from different countries, for some reason, this results in better shiny odds. Why? Couldn't tell you, but it works. It isn't just theoretical, which is good because the shiny odds are unforgiving, to say the least. I mean, sure, it's more likely to get a shiny than it is to win the lottery, but also having a Diglett with a purple nose isn't going to buy me a Lamborghini, so 1 in 8,192 odds before Generation 6 is not ideal, and even the 1 in 4,069 odds post-Gen 6 aren't exactly favorable either. There are various methods to get better odds, but they depend on the generation and even the specific game you're playing, so I'm not going to dive too deep into it. The point is that shinies, while rare, aren't really impossible to get your hands on. And oftentimes, when battling online, you're more likely to encounter the shiny version of a Pokemon than the regular one. People don't use regular Charizard, you'll see this black one way more often, so it's kinda lost its rarity in a way.
Here's me on the scale of caring. I'm at 0.
Outside of your event-exclusive shinies, you're never gonna have a shiny that everyone will be jealous of. With enough patience or cheating, you can essentially get any shiny you could possibly want. But maybe your definition of a rare Pokemon is one that is just very hard to encounter in a general playthrough. The poster child for this is, of course, Gen 4 Munchlax. Slather honey on all the trees, wait 6 real-life hours for Pokemon to spawn on them, and hope you get the 1% encounter rate for a Munchlax.
Patience.
This stupid little bear Pac-Man thing is so ungodly rare to encounter this way that you could probably play through every single Pokemon game ever made in a row before ever encountering one. Multiple times over. While doing Nuzlocks. Blindfolded. Seriously, I don't know what masochist came up with this, but this is the single rarest regular encounter in any Pokemon game ever. But even then, you can just trade a Snorlax over and breed it for a Munchlax, so it's not like seeing a Munchlax on your Gen 4 team is even close to impossible. So other hard to get Pokemon like Gen 3 Feebas, 2nd Gen Remake Steelix, Gen 1 Chansey aren't really that crazy, all things considered. Someone can just trade you one. But what about event exclusives? Some Pokemon can only be obtained via events that distribute these special Pokemon to your game. Nowadays, these are over Wi-Fi, and they typically last a while, so it's pretty easy not to miss the window of opportunity to get one. Even if you do miss one, as long as you have your mom's credit card, you can always buy one on eBay. Most of the time, these are mythical Pokemon, creatures that can only be obtained with these events, and sometimes in-game when the devs feel like making them less cool. Why is Keldeo in the Isle of Armor? What is the reason? At least Deoxys got the Aura Farm against Rayquaza. But no, I would not say that these are rare, except for the old ones. You see, back in the day, before Wi-Fi was widespread, you actually had to go to real-life events in order to get these event exclusives. And they weren't everywhere. If you didn't live in a major city, then you would have had to convince your parents to drive you several hours to a convention or something just to get your hands on a Mew. I'd say when you get down to it, these are the only Pokemon that are actually rare. These things came and went. You can't get them anymore. Sure, some of these Mons are distributed nowadays, but you'll never get a Gen 3 Deoxys ever again. The last thing I want to talk about is kinda niche. Shadow Pokemon. And not the Pokemon Go versions. Those are just so stupid. No, I'm talking about the Shadow Pokemon from the GameCube spin-off games, Pokemon Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness. In general, none of the Shadow Pokemon are rare, obviously. Ultimately, they are just normal Pokemon. However, these purified Shadow Pokemon will obtain the National Ribbon all the way up to the current generation. As far as I'm aware, this is the only way to get this ribbon. The only other notable thing is that some of the purified Pokemon have moves that they can't typically learn. The weirdest example is the Shadow Lugia getting Psycho Boost, which is Deoxys' signature move for some reason. Nowadays, these moves don't matter since Pokemon transferred through to Generation 8 don't keep old moves, so other than the ribbon, there's nothing rare or unique about these. Imagine showing off your former Shadow Hitmonchan and being like, yeah, it may look normal, but wait till you see the ribbon. Nobody's gonna care, it's just your regular run-of-the-mill anthropomorphic animal with boxing gloves on.
Nice.
So what does it mean to be a rare Pokemon? I mean, at this point, it kind of means nothing. Like, yeah, it might be difficult to find a specific monster that you're looking for. Maybe you need to wait till a certain time of day. Maybe there's a low spawn rate, or maybe you need to fork over some cash. But ultimately, you're gonna get that Pokemon. All it takes is a little patience and effort. Honestly, like, I can't think of a single Pokemon that I would be surprised to see that somebody has. Now, if you don't have access to the internet, then maybe you feel differently about this. Maybe that Munchlax is your white whale, and this video has been eye-opening to you. But then I guess you wouldn't be watching the video? Why did I make this? Why am I here? I don't know, I just thought it was interesting. The idea of Pokemon being rare has pretty much been diluted down to nothing. Outside of Pokemon cards or the anime, you can basically get your hands on anything. It's not that hard. But it also took me like 2,000 eggs to get this shiny Cramorant. Why did I even want this that badly? When I was looking for it, I stumbled upon like 5 full odds shinies. Like, do they know? Is Nintendo doing this on purpose? What did I do to deserve this?
Tax evasion?
This broke me, man, all for a stupid orange bird.